Hi, you're watching Tea Leaves Programming. Today we are gaming like it's 1979. Let me set the stage for you. The year is 1991. Computers are becoming more and more capable, but they're still not the graphics powerhouses we have today. One of the original 1980s gaming companies, a behemoth of strategy games called SSI, Strategic Simulations Incorporated, holds the license to the Dungeons and Dragons games. They have a huge hit with what they call the Gold Box games, Pool of Radiance and some other games in that series. But those are really very 1980s games, and they're looking for something new. They're looking for something that really has a modern feel for it in 1991. And what they come up with is a game made by a company called Westwood Associates called Eye of the Beholder. Now, Eye of the Beholder is a first-person game, so it's trying to get in on that fast action pace. It is a not quite real-time game, but not turn-based either. It looks at first blush a little bit like Wizardry, but unlike Wizardry, if you stand there and don't move, the monsters will come and swing at you. But it still tries to be true to these second edition Dungeons & Dragons or Advanced Dungeons & Dragons rule set. So it's a bit of a queer bird. There were a few versions of Eye of the Beholder. I played the MS-DOS version, which is, I think, the most famous version. It's the one that most people played. There was a Super Nintendo version, and there was also a Sega CD version. And that Sega CD version had music. Kind of rockin', very techno music. If you've ever played Star Control 2, this has kind of a similar vibe, doesn't it? The other thing the Sega CD brought was not just cool music, but also full-voiced cutscenes. In fact, let's restart the game and check that out right now. There's Sonic. We're in that era when Sonic was the Sega mascot. We're going to skip past these splash screens and go straight to the kind of cheesy voiceover. So I got my trusty controller here. And let's go ahead and use the D-pad to very slowly move the mouse and start a new game.
We, the Lords of Waterdeep, have gathered to purge our city of an ancient evil. Give call to the heroes of the land, and let us choose our champions.
Master, they think they have found a solution.
We commission you to find the nature of this evil and destroy it if you are able. Prepare for the dangerous journey.
I love that they're trying to do so much with so much graphic design with so little graphics power. I'm not being snarky. I do love it. I think you can see they were trying to make this visually interesting.
Begin your search below the city.
Their fates are sealed.
And at this point, we would create our characters. And here we are with our chance to create our characters. I'm going to spare you the creation of these characters. I actually have them all set up. And so let me bring them in. But let me give you a little bit of context before we do that. Every time I switch out of the emulator in the foreground, the music is going to cut out. Sorry, that's just how it goes. So you might notice the cursor moving here, and it's moving pretty slowly, isn't it? I'm using a gamepad, and I'm using the D-pad to move the cursor around. This is intolerable. The only way to play this game is by moving this virtual mouse and then clicking with the X button. So how do people do it? Well, some people just did it because they enjoy suffering. The Super Nintendo version worked the same way. However, the Sega CD was one of the rare games that supported an actual mouse. It is the Sega CD Mega Mouse, believe it or not. And the emulator I'm using, which is RetroArch, has a core that supports the Mega Mouse. For those of you playing along at home, I am using the Genesis Plus GX core, I believe. Genesis Plus GX version 1.74. So let's get back in there. All right, I've created 4 characters. I have also, I will be fully transparent, cheated the hell and given these guys really good stats because Eye of the Beholder. First of all, I've played this game many times. Having all great stats doesn't really help you all that much, if I'm honest. The other thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using a map. And in particular, I'm going to be using Gridmonger, which is up here. Let me actually arrange my screen a little bit. Put the Gridmonger right here. All right. So if you're playing Eye of the Beholder today, what if you want to create your own maps? Well, most people don't. And the reason most people don't is that because it's a real-time game, it actually is pretty painful to create your own maps. There are a number of automappers that work with the MS-DOS version of the game. So for example, Grid Cartographer has a GameLink plugin that you can use. And there's another plugin called All Seeing Eye that is very deluxe and it's purpose built specifically for Eye of the Beholder. So if you actually want to play this game, I'm looking at the Sega CD version because I was curious about it. Probably best practice is you play on the MS-DOS version and you use one of these plugins to do the auto map for you. I've mapped this game 1.5 billion times, so I don't feel the need to prove myself again. And I'm just going to use the Grid Cartographer, or the Gridmonger pre-made map, which probably is not 100% accurate, but is close enough. Second, before we begin, I want to say this is not going to be a full Let's Play. One thing about this version of the game, and let's go ahead and kick it off here. I need to capture the mouse. Mouse grab. There we go. One thing about this version of the game is that we're limited, I believe, to only using, let's see, can I use the gamepad also? No, I cannot. Let's see. So we can use our mouse here. Move things around, grab things. Nice font, actually. Very Sega Genesis font. So if we go here to camp and select options, and we change the mode to mode 2. This is very complicated. And then I hit the start button on the controller. Now I can use the button on the controller to move while also using the mouse to hit things. So if you're playing on PC, the kind of best practice, you could use the mouse to move and also to fight. But then you're really hamstringing yourself because you've got to move the mouse all the way from here to all the way up here. So the best practice is actually use the keyboard to move and the mouse just to attack and to manipulate objects. But of course, on the Sega CD, there is no keyboard. Now, there might be some mapping I could do in the emulator to map various keys to, I think we have arrow keys, right? Yeah, so I could use the arrow keys. Yeah, why don't we do that? Let's see how that works. All right, so here we are. Who is my party? We have a paladin named Ike up here. We have a fighter thief named Yuffie. Yes, I have, in fact, been playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We've got Aerie here, who is a cleric mage, and Soren down here, who is also a cleric mage. So, let's go here. We can find some lockpicks. We'll go ahead and take those as an extra pair. And so we are in our map here. We're still in this little area up in the upper left. And we see there's a door. I don't know how to side slide from the keyboard. I don't think I want to go to that door yet until I look at everything. One thing that is an improvement in the Sega CD version over the PC is there's more animation. So this kind of bouncy thing in the compass is new, and when we see the actual first monsters, I think we're going to notice. There we go. That wasn't too exciting, actually. But the monsters actually swing swords at you. Which way? I think that first door is actually a smaller area, so let's go there first. So, what are the differences between this and the PC version? The main one that's really obvious is color palette. This is a kind of restricted, kind of high gamma color palette compared to the PC version, which, you know, you almost never say, because PC games in 1991 did not have terribly deep color palettes, but what can I say? Oh, did I just go the wrong way? I think I did. I want to go down here. Eye of the Beholder occupies a pretty hefty place in my memory. I'm not as kind of obsessed with it as I am with Wizardry, in part because it's not really as good a game. It's not as finely balanced, really. But there's a few things it did right that I think are super interesting. One of them is right here. You could see this idea that switches in the game are very diegetic, and that has implications particularly for secret doors. Secret doors in this game are super interesting. Like this is a very obvious... Oops, we're about to get murdered. You'll notice that the people in the middle row, I'm not even bothering to click on them. Well, I can throw that rock. They can throw rocks, they can do things like that, but they can't actually hit with their melee weapons from the back row. Later games in the series, I believe, added the possibility for certain weapons, I think polearms, to be able to do that. So these maces are basically useless for the people in the back row. Unless the people in the front row, unless I swap them, which I'm not going to do. The other thing I failed to do here is these guys have no spells memorized. So, 2nd edition AD&D, I think it's 2nd edition. Let's go take care of that now. So I have 2 characters who can learn spells. We'll just do Magic Missile. Melf's Acid Arrow. Oh, I don't have that one yet because they are a multi-class. Right. Cure light wounds. Do a bless. And I think memorize. So this is one of the issues with the game as a game, qua game, is now I've memorized these spells. What do you have to do in Dungeons and Dragons? When you've memorized spells, you need to sleep for 8 hours. So this is what I mean by the game not being really great. The amount of time you will spend in this dungeon according to the wall clock, is probably multiple years, because when you want to heal people, sometimes the only thing you can do is rest for a week. Rest for 8 hours, cast spells, rest for 8 hours, cast spells. Modern versions of D&D have largely given up on this. So what can I do here? I think if I step there, then this door is going to close. Trying to remember, is there a way to trigger that? Probably not. Well, let's dive in. Yep, door's closed, now we're trapped. I don't remember if there's a way to open that. It's moot because there's no way to return home from our entrance anyway. We've got food, so that's one thing I'll mention. Each of these characters has a food bar in addition to their hit points bar, and you have to find food in the dungeon, at least until you learn a magic spell to create food. Okay. Oh, now this is a nice little thing. You might have seen some movement behind that gate. You can actually sometimes see people or see enemies through the gates. So let's go. Oh, let's cast a spell just to show how that works. Cast Magic Missile. Good. The game is very inconsistent about picking things up. Sometimes, and perhaps there's an explanation for it and I just don't know it. Sometimes if you throw a dagger or a rock and you step into it, you will magically pick it up. Other times you will not, and I don't know what actually triggers that. All right, so now we see that someone gained a level of experience. Soren did, I believe. So let's see if that changes how many spells he can do. Yes. So we're going to get slow poison. That's actually pretty important. And we'll do one hold person. Hold person is one of those spells that when it works, you love it. Oh, it looks like Aerie actually up. No. Went up a level also. And I don't think Ike, yeah, he's not there yet. Can I actually look at this guy while I'm here? No, I can't. I have to leave the camp. I'm not ready to rest yet. Okay, so he is level 3. Level 2, 3, level 3, 2. And I think that these multi-class characters will swap off their gaining characters, gaining levels. All right, so let's walk into that knife and see if we pick it up. And we do not. Maybe it's if your hand is empty? Now, I know I've seen it, and I don't understand the rules at all. One of the frustrating quality of life things about this game. Yet another. Obtained map of this level. Okay. So I heard about this. What I heard was that there were maps in this game. And I have not been able to find them. What's that? Commission and letter of mark. Map 1. Oh, look at that. My mind is blown. So this, then, I was convinced this did not exist because I started the game before the stream and looked around and didn't find the map. I've seen a few people say, you have maps in this game. So now we know how. I want to be the first person to tell the internet what it means for maps to exist in this game. You find them on the floor and you now have a map. So can we actually click on these things to know what they are? Looks like not. These green things must be open doors. Not sure what these blue ones mean. Red, I presume, is... I don't know what red is yet. Well, let's go walk towards this blue thing and see if we could figure out what it is. What's that blue thing doing here? Right. Oh, we're going to get some... Okay, so we've got 3 things there. Yeah, we're just not picking them up. That sucks. Get lots of rocks in this game. A lot of the puzzles in this game, as in many of the later games like Legend of Grimrock, are pressure plate based. Mage Scroll of Armor. Cleric Scroll of Bless. Alright, so we are here. Let's look back. There we are, and there's something there, huh? It's 1 square to our south. Let's see if we can figure that out. So I'm looking here to see if there's a button. Can I hit the wall? No. Is there a button here? No. Oh! Special quest for this level. We just transformed our dagger into something called Gwinsu. I think this is a 1980s, really. It's 1991, but it's kind of a 1980s joke. There used to be a commercial for an allegedly Japanese knife called the Ginsu knife. And they had these cheesy commercials. The hand is sharper than a knife. But you can't cut a watermelon with it. I'll see if I could find that on archive.org and thread it in here.
In Japan, the hand can be used like a knife. But this method doesn't work with a tomato. That's why we use the Ginsu.
Now, can I do that again with multiple daggers? I bet not. I don't think so. Now, I think we also get experience for those special quests, so they're more important, honestly, for the XP that it gives your characters than for the items. Often, there's no way that I'm aware of to inspect, the statistics of an item. So there's no way to know if the Ginsu dagger is good or bad. In this case, since it came from a special quest, I'm going to assume that it was good, but we'll see. All right, so no one's able to pry this door open. Well, how do we open this door? I think we're going to have to come in from a different direction, probably. Let's go this way. There's a switch there. That switch probably opens that door. It sure does. Whoa. So a few guys there. Let's start throwing things. I could never figure out in this game whether it mattered what side your throwing team was on. Whether it mattered whether they're on the left or the right. I get the sense that it does, but I don't know for sure. So part of the reason I'm picking up all these rocks is precisely because I started to say this earlier and then didn't actually get there. Many of the puzzles, since many of the puzzles are pressure plate based, you almost always want a rock to be able to throw down on a puzzle, on a pressure plate. So we got, in fact, a couple pressure plates right here. And here's exactly what I was talking about. As we step off this plate, the door closes. So I'm gonna go ahead and just place that rock there, and now the door will stay open. And here's another rock. The game is very generous with its rocks. Okay, so I think this is close to where we were before. Okay, so here is an example of what I was talking about earlier, about the game being very diegetic with its doors. Right, we've got these walls, right? And doesn't that block look a little out of place? You know, it's very much texture matching. You're noticing a difference in the textures. And now we've opened a secret door. Looking at our, let me pause the game for a second here. Looking at our map. Looking at our map, we just came through there, right? So we just opened that secret door. Go ahead and bring that back. I don't need to be so big. I'm going to make myself a little smaller so you can enjoy the full glory of this functional UI. All right. Actually, this is a good chance now. So we just opened that secret door. Let's look at the map and see what a secret door looks like on the map. I mean, that kind of suggests that blue is a secret door, doesn't it? So there's a lot of secret doors here. Let's go down to the southern expanse here and open those. Not that there's a particularly good reason to want to open them. So if you're playing this on PC, what's it like? You don't have this driving techno EDM background music. What you have is a few kind of dungeony sounds just kind of in the background. And so whether or not you like the music, you know, is probably a matter of taste. I would say that the dungeony sounds do a good job of giving you the mood. I do kind of like them, but it is also a bit monotonous. Whoa, I'm getting murdered here. I have the sound turned off because I'm recording and it's not very fun to have feedback. Oh, and it looks like this. No. So this, I think, is where our secret door allegedly is. I certainly don't see it there. Well, this door opened, right? I mean, I'm assuming it was closed before. Oh, I'm one too far to the north. Okay. Let's take a step south and see if we can find it. I'm probably going to play today to the second level. I've actually been wanting to play Eye of the Beholder for real. Whether or not I'm going to play it on the stream, you know, full time, I don't know. I think that there's always this division of effort. You know, when I'm recording a stream, it feels different to me than when I'm playing a game. All right, so now this door was locked before, and now we have unlocked it. So there was a pressure plate here. Okay, so we just locked it. How do we reset it? And it looked like that was a ladder down. Aha. This rune is unrecognized. So this is actually one very nice D&D lore thing. These runes are in certain languages, and if your characters are of the right races, they will be able to read those runes. And no explanation in game for it. I recall, I think daggers is kind of the theme of this level. No, that's not it. Oh wait, there's a button there, isn't there? Right, so the button opens the door, and the plate closes the door. And so what they want you to do here is weigh down the plate. And now you can step through. And that actually brings us down to the next level. Oh, and we found a key. But that said, I don't think I want to do level 2 yet, because I believe there is, as of yet, things we haven't done on level 1. I think there's an entire section, secret door. First of all, there's still this damn... There's still this thing, which I feel is a secret door that we haven't yet figured out how to open. But then there's also a section that we skipped back this way. I believe it's to the north. No, there's also this. Whoa! Ouch! So here's a case where I was slow on the draw and ended up paying a price for it. Took some damage, but we do have some priest spells, and it's almost time for me to rest. So let's go ahead. Switch holy symbols. You need your holy symbol or your spellbook. We'll go ahead and heal her up a bit. So what do we find here? Another rock and a dart. Yeah, you're going to be, the world is going to be lousy with throwables in this game. You can see here there's a hole above us, but we're on the top level, so the implication here is this is a cistern or a sewer that's just dumping down onto us. Wonderful. All right, so now we want to go north here. This looks ominous. I think if we take that door closes. Put it back on, it opens. I definitely feel compelled to step on every square, which is kind of silly in this game. There's no good reason to do it. Although I guess if you're using one of the auto mappers, maybe there is. Okay, so this one is a toggle. Okay. let's take a look at the map. So again, there's a secret door one space to the north. To our west, right? So that's one space to the north. Oh, here comes some enemies. Let's go ahead and bless the party. Just to get used to that. Nice, we've got some rations. And we got a few more daggers. Real House of Flying Daggers going on here. Alright, let's go back. Don't see anything. Some more food. All right. So this was level 1 of the Sega CD version of Eye of the Beholder 1. So the question is, really, which version of this game should you play? Is it worth seeking out the Sega CD version? Well, if you really like the music, then maybe. I think that for me, I like the music, but if I want to hear the music, I can find the soundtrack and listen to it separately. I don't need this music in the game itself. I don't like the color palette. That could simply be that it's not what I'm used to. And, you know, the mouse works. It's functional. It does feel a little laggy compared to the native DOS implementation of Eye of the Beholder. So I think if it's me, I think it is probably less work for you and probably a little easier to use to simply get the MS-DOS version from Good Old Games or some other source. And then you can use one of these, All-Seeing Eye or some other auto map if you need an auto map. If you really want this kind of built-in map, this is the one feature of this game that is truly unique to this platform. So it's a legitimate choice to play a game. I don't know that I would go to the extra effort to seek it out over the DOS version. But if you want to, it's here. The other reason to prefer the DOS version to this is that I believe that only Eye of the Beholder 1 was ported to Sega CD. And there are 2 other games in the series. Now, are you going to take the same characters through EOB 1 to 2 to 3? You know, come on, man. You know you're not. You're not going to do that. But if you're like me, there's part of your brain that's like, well, maybe someday I'll retire and that'll be what I'll do. I'll actually finish this game. And if that part of your brain is there, then again, that's another reason to prefer the MS-DOS version. Well, I despite not recommending this version as your first choice, I'm very interested to look at it, and I did enjoy hearing it and seeing the differences. It's always very exciting to me in some ways that there were people in the late 80s and early 90s who were really kind of going above and beyond to get what was then the PC gaming experience on these home consoles. I think that's a very interesting phenomenon, and I'm very glad that I got to explore it here with you today. So this has been Tea Leaves Programming. We've been gaming like it's 1979. Thanks for watching.